You think self-awareness will fix your life. It won't. In fact, if you're not careful, it will quietly destroy your momentum, your confidence, and your ability to act. Because self-awareness is not just clarity, it's exposure, and most people are not prepared for what they see when they finally look at themselves honestly. At first, it feels powerful. You start noticing your patterns, your habits, your triggers. You realize why you procrastinate, why you overthink, why you sabotage yourself. And for a moment it feels like progress, like you've finally figured something out. But then something strange happens. You don't change, you just observe. You become incredibly good at understanding your problems without actually solving them. And that's where self-awareness turns dark. Because now you can't lie to yourself anymore. Before you could blame circumstances, blame other people, blame bad luck. But now you see your role in everything, and that awareness becomes heavy, almost suffocating. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." But he didn't tell you what happens after you make it conscious. You don't instantly become free. You become responsible for your choices, for your patterns, for your failures, and responsibility is uncomfortable. So instead of using awareness to act, most people use it to overanalyze. They sit there, watching themselves, judging themselves, breaking down every thought, every emotion, every mistake, not to improve, but to understand, and understanding feels productive. But it's not the same as change. This is the trap. Self-awareness gives you the illusion of progress. You feel like you're growing, when in reality, you're just becoming more aware of your stagnation. It's like standing in front of a mirror for hours, analyzing every detail, but never stepping outside. Freud called this introspection, and while it can reveal hidden truths, it can also trap you in them. Because the more you look inward, the more flaws you find, and the more flaws you find, the harder it becomes to act with confidence. Think about it. Before you were self-aware, you acted more freely, not perfectly, but naturally. Now, every action is filtered. You question everything. Why am I doing this? Is this my ego? Is this fear? Is this the right decision? And that constant questioning creates friction. You hesitate, you delay, you second-guess, not because you lack intelligence, but because you see too much. This is what over-awareness does. It paralyzes. There's a concept in psychology called analysis paralysis, when too much information stops action, and self-awareness amplifies it, because now the information is not external, it's internal, endless. You can always analyze deeper, find another reason, another flaw, another layer, and so you keep digging, but you never move. Nietzsche warned about this in his own way. He believed that too much introspection could weaken a person, because life is not meant to be fully understood before it's lived. It's meant to be experienced, messy, uncertain, imperfect. But self-awareness tries to clean that mess, to control it, to make sense of everything, and in doing so, it removes spontaneity. You stop taking risks, because you see the possible outcomes too clearly. You stop expressing yourself fully, because you're aware of how you might be judged. You stop trying as hard, because you're aware of your limitations, and slowly, without realizing it, you shrink, not physically, but mentally, emotionally. You become smaller, safer, more controlled, and less alive. That's the dark side no one talks about. Self-awareness can make you hyper-aware of your flaws, but powerless to change them. And that creates a dangerous cycle. You notice a problem, you analyze it, you understand it, but you don't act. So the problem stays, and now you're aware of it. Every single day, that awareness turns into frustration, then into self-criticism, then into quiet disappointment, not because you don't know what to do, but because you're not doing it. And that gap between knowing and doing, that's where most people suffer. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, struggled with this exact problem. He wrote constantly about discipline, action, and controlling the mind, but even he admitted how difficult it was to live according to what he knew. Think about that. A Roman emperor, with access to knowledge, power, and control, still struggling to act on his own awareness. So what does that tell you? This is not a modern issue, it's a human one, but here's where it gets deeper. Self-awareness doesn't just expose your flaws, it exposes your contradictions. You say you want success, but avoid the work. You say you value honesty, but hide from truth. You say you want change, but cling to comfort. And when you see those contradictions clearly, it creates tension. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance. Your mind hates inconsistency, so it tries to resolve it. But instead of changing behavior, most people adjust their thinking. They justify, rationalize, explain, anything to reduce discomfort without taking action. And self-awareness makes that easier. Because now you have the language, the concepts, the explanations. You can explain exactly why you're stuck without ever getting unstuck. That's dangerous, because now your intelligence becomes your excuse. You're not confused, you're articulate about your confusion, and that feels enough. But it's not. So what do? Do you avoid self-awareness completely? No, that's not the solution. Ignorance isn't freedom. It's just unconscious limitation. The goal is not less awareness, it's balanced awareness, awareness that leads to action, not just observation. You have to shift from watching yourself to directing yourself, and that requires something most people avoid: discomfort. Because action will always feel less comfortable than analysis. Action risks failure, embarrassment, rejection. Analysis doesn't. It keeps you safe, but safe is exactly what's keeping you stuck. So you have to change your relationship with awareness. Stop treating it as an endpoint and start treating it as a trigger. The moment you notice a pattern, act immediately, not perfectly, not completely, just enough to break the cycle, because action interrupts over analysis. It grounds you in reality, and reality is always simpler than the chaos in your head. Second, limit how much you analyze. Not every thought needs to be explored. Not every emotion needs to be understood. Some things just need to be experienced, lived, felt, and moved through, without turning them into a mental project. Third, accept imperfection. You will act wrongly sometimes. You will misunderstand yourself. You will make decisions that don't align perfectly with your awareness. That's normal, because growth is not clean. It's messy. And trying to make it perfect is what keeps you stuck. Finally, remember this: self-awareness is a tool, not an identity. The moment you start defining yourself as self-aware, you risk becoming passive, observant, detached, instead of active, engaged, alive, because life is not meant to be watched from a distance. It's meant to be lived directly, without over-filtering every move. So if you've been stuck in your head lately, if you've been analyzing more than acting, this is your signal. You don't need more insight, you need movement, even small, even imperfect, because action will teach you more than endless thinking ever will. Now stop for a moment. Be honest with yourself. Where are you over-aware but inactive? What do you understand clearly but refuse to act on? That's your answer. That's where your growth is being blocked. And that's exactly where you need to move, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now, if this made you uncomfortable, good. That means you're seeing something real. Don't ignore it, use it, and move. If this changed how you see yourself, like the video, subscribe, and come back when you're ready to go deeper.